Hello, and welcome to Fusion Writing, where building character meets creating structure. And today is our map day, and that means we're going to dive a little more into our subject matter. Victoria, want to get us going?
Absolutely. Okay, so everyone likes to talk about writer's block. You know me, I don't believe in writer's block. I believe in writers haven't done enough research or digging. So let's talk about what that might look like in regards specifically to character voice. Sometimes, even when I'm writing in my own voice, I can feel that stuckness. I don't know what to say. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm not sure how to get that writing ball rolling. And even though it's my voice that I'm working with, I still find myself sitting there looking at a blank page with no idea how to get my thoughts out so that I can start drafting and working with them. So let's talk about a couple of ways that you can approach it from a different angle, because sometimes just a change in perspective can help get you out of that stuck state. So the first thing I want to talk about in regards to voice is, what is voice? It's simply the way that your character presents themselves on the page. That can come out a lot of different ways, but let's break it down to something simple. What if, for example, the character that you're writing as a young person, maybe as an adolescent, was kind of trashy. They were a little rough around the edges, maybe what someone would call a diamond in the rough, depending on the story that you're writing. But let's just say they're a little rough. You're going to write that one specific way, right? Maybe they're using a lot of colloquialisms, they're using slang, they're coming at things in a very casual, offhand way. That depicts a very particular kind of character at that point in their life. Now, how can you use voice to show that character's growth? What if you flash back to one of those scenes as a trashy youth, and then you flash back to the present, and you talk in a very articulate, very developed voice? What you're showing is that that character has made a journey. They've gone from that trash talking teen, and they have worked and developed themselves into this articulate adult who's taken seriously and with confidence. That, my friends, is a character journey that is shown only through voice. It's just the way they're talking. So let's break that down to the next level. What comprises voice? It's what I just said. It's diction. It's the very words that someone uses. Well, how do you pack that into a character to get yourself unstuck? Quite honestly, Google it. Just enter the search terms. Language used by academics. Popular terms for construction workers. I'm not even kidding. You can search this stuff all day long and get lists of words that are either germane to the work that they do, their kind of employment, or the kind of life that they live. Like if they're an academic, they're going to say things very differently than if they're a construction worker. So just diction can give you that way into a character. Now, Kathleen is going to talk to you about an internal kind of voice, and I'm not going to tread on her territory because that would be spoilery, but let me just say this is going to fit together beautifully. So let's break it down even further. In addition to a past versus present version of your character, what if you use the way that they approach something in front of them? For example, Kathleen's talking to you about orderliness. Well, what if that person has a very chaotic, very anxious, anxiety-ridden inner monologue that you show maybe in an opening scene? And then when that person who maybe is an academic steps in front of the classroom, they completely change, and they are present and noteworthy and articulate and all pulled together. You've shown a change in that character. It's inner versus outer diction. Okay, so that's another way of changing that perspective of voice. So how does that get you unstuck? Well, my friends, what if you simply start putting those things on the page? You just start writing out that anxious, crazy, internal, chaotic list of words and phrases and thoughts. Really put yourself in their place, and then flip the page and write that person standing in front of the classroom, being confident and articulate. You're going to feel that shift. And the more that you write between those two perspectives, the more you're going to dial in what that person's actual character voice is. It really is that simple. But here's the trick. You have to get the words on the page, because until you do that, you don't have anything to work with. Sometimes the stuckness comes from being in your own head, because you've got this voice over here doing something, and you've got one over here doing something, and you've got your own internal editor trying to make sense of it, but you can't edit any of that. It's got to be written on the page so that you can look at it and make decisions about what words do you want to choose for them? How are they going to say things? How are they going to puzzle things out in their own mind so you develop that voice? It really is that simple. Just get it on the page. So, in closing, do your research. I like to refer to it in my book. I teach you about building a dialogue collection. It's literally a fancy word for eavesdropping. Listen in when you're out in public, you're watching a show, you're seeing a movie, whatever you're doing, listen to the way that people are talking. Because what you might find is the way that person is talking sounds a lot like my character. Note those phrases and words down. It's another way that you can listen in order to inform how you want to write that character voice. Now, I will issue a word of caution. If you're relying on another source, whether it's a movie, a TV show, another book that you're reading, a work of fiction, use those ideas, but definitely do your own research, because what if that author got the voice of an academic wrong and you're copying that? That's not good. So use those things as inspiration, but then definitely verify either in real life or in your research that that's really what that voice sounds like, and that's how you want to use it for your character. So those are just a few key ways that you can really dial in voice, either by using contrast, past and present, inner, outer, or just listening to your world and taking those notes down to help you build that stew that becomes what that character sounds like. So, final pop quiz question. How do you know when you've nailed voice? I'll tell you, it's very simple. Because you know in your writer's mind what this character would say in any given situation and what they would never say. Once you can look at any situation and know, my character, she would say this, she would never say that, then you know you've nailed voice and you've probably got it authentic and well done on the page. With that, I will throw it over to Kathleen.
Whoa, thank you so much, Victoria. What a wonderful way of thinking about voice, and what a wonderful way to get past what's going on in your head and onto the page. I know one of my challenges in trying to get the things in my head onto the page is that when I'm thinking about them, they're absolutely wonderful. And they're just, you can think of the whole dialogue in a flash, and then you go to write it down on the paper and it comes out looking like see spot run, run spot run. It's just gone. Where's all the beauty that was there in my head? But I love the idea of breaking it down to voice, because you give yourself a chance to break back into those thoughts that generated those beautiful words in your head. If you just think about the dialogue of your character and what he would sound like, even if he's not talking about the scene you're writing, just put his voice down, and pretty soon that voice will be saying the thing that, there it is, what I had in my mind. And it'll come on down on the paper. So I appreciate that so much, Victoria. Really what I need. Well, I'm talking about voices too. I'm talking about the voices of decision. Orderliness is a kind of a fun trait to play with, because on the surface of it, it seems so unimportant. I mean, you can weave it into a very, very important part in your story. I mean, just imagine that a key to a vital room necessary to save planet Earth has been lost because somebody's disorderly. I mean, you can make a lot out of orderliness, even in the ordinary sense of it. But what I'm going to focus on today is what's going on in your character's head when he's trying to make up his mind whether to be orderly or not in this particular case. Because a lot of times, orderliness is just out of your character's mind. You know, he finishes breakfast, tosses his bowl on the counter, and he's out the door without even thinking about the fact that it's not going to rinse itself. It's not going to jump into the dishwasher on its own. But there he is, no thought of it in his mind at all. That's when it's up there in the wing. We're talking about what does it sound like when he's trying to actually make a decision. And when you listen to it, you usually won't hear thoughts like, oh, if I rinse the bowl now, it won't be sticky and the Cheerios won't be stuck to the bowl where I'll have to get out a screwdriver to pry them off the walls of the bowl. No, he's not thinking about things like that. The character is usually thinking about things about himself. He's thinking about his problems that he's going on and his situation with his world. And what you'll find him doing as he rinses that bowl and carefully places it into the dishwasher, he is coming to a conclusion about what it is he needs to do. The orderliness of putting the bowl away is helping him make sense of the decision that he's trying to make. Or let's spin it back. And now we'll have him up there and he's fussing around with it and he throws it in the sink on top of all the other dirty dishes. And it's like, oh, it's just such a mess. I can't stand my life. I've made a mess of things. I made a mess of the situation on my job. My desk is a mess. My house is a mess. Oh. Now you've got a whole different situation. You have your character judging himself, and then he lets his world get out of control so that it supports the judgment that he's made about himself. See, I'm worthless. Look at my horrible place. Then you can start thinking about, well, how am I going to write that in the story? And we won't go too much into this right now because writing week is a separate week. But if you think about, if you take that guy that's feeling like his whole world is a mess, and if you enable him to clean up some little quarter of it, watch what happens in his mind when he gets one little square foot of beauty built into his life. Play with those ideas, play with orderliness. And, well, Victoria, do you have any ideas to add to this?
Oh my goodness, this is a good one. They're all good ones, but this was fantastic. Just don't be afraid to experiment and get those words on the page. What Kathleen said could not be more true. When all that stuff is up in your head, it's so perfect, it's beautiful, it is exactly how it's supposed to be, and you love it so much, and then you put it on the page and it is crazy spaghetti. We all experience that. But the thing is, we are writers, we are not ideators. So get the writing on the page, and then you have something that you can draft, edit, play with, and turn into something that matches that perfect vision that you have for it. So don't be afraid, start experimenting.
Okay. And then come on over to LiLLiPub.org. Over in Fusion Writing, we have a whole group in LiLLiPub.org for Fusion Writing. And we get together every Saturday on a Zoom call. So come on over and join us. Post your writing. You'll see where you'll have a link to do that. Join us. 1,000 people. Well, we don't have 1,000 members, but a half a dozen people anyway are going to say hi and welcome and greet you. We're going to show you where to put your writing if you want to participate in the group. And then you can join our Saturday Zoom call and be a part of the fun. See you over there. Bye-bye.